So the format for this is a 30-minute panel. The guys are going to share in a few minutes a little bit about themselves and what they do. And we have some questions for them, don't we, Warren?
Yes, we do.
And then we're going to throw it to you. So while the discussion is happening, think about what you might want to ask that you feel like would be beneficial in your understanding of managers and what they do and just this whole discussion. So be thinking about questions that you would like to ask in a few minutes.
We're going to start with Mr. Blanton right here. Well, I thought you were over there. I'm still starting with Blanton. We're going to go through and let them each introduce themselves and tell you a little bit about themselves.
Yep.
So we'll start with you, my friend.
That'd be great.
Tell everyone about yourself.
My name's Michael Blanton, and I've done this for a few years. I've been in the artist management, artist development business for probably 30 years with a company called Blanton Harrell. That I actually went from there to Blanton Harrell Cook and Corzine, which actually went out of business 2 years ago. So all of that journey brought us to a new place that I have just launched another company in the last 4 or 5 months called B Music Entertainment. And so if you want to learn about that, you can go to that website and check it out. But what I am and what I've done for many years is just more in the artist development. Started in A&R and then went from that into a management company and launched Reunion Records back in the 80s and have worked the longest with Michael W. and Amy Grant for the longest term and still work with Amy to this day. So that's kind of a quick, easy introduction to me, I think.
Gary, you want to share about yourself and what you do?
Sure. I'm Gary Stripling, president of the management agency, or TMA. Started working with independent artists, labeled artists with Integrity Music, Paul Wilbur, Bob Fitz, some of the worship artists back in the 90s, and then started my agency 6 years ago. And my main calling in life is to facilitate ministry. And so I do that working with independent artists, helping them with development and management.
Awesome. If you want to, in your conference booklet, there's information about these guys in this particular panel, so you can take a look at that as well. Dennis, do you want to share a little bit about yourself?
Sure. I'm Dennis Disney. I have an agency called D Squared Entertainment, and we are a marketing, management, and product development agencies. We've been in existence for 12 years. Prior to that, I came out of the labels. I was at Word and at Benson, and in the middle of all that, I was at Reunion, where Mike and I worked together. There's a handful of us in town that have the distinction. The old joke was, before you end your career, you will have either worked for Word or Benson or both, and I've worked for both. Actually met Ray when I was at Word, when he was managing a band called Allies, and we had him on our Dayspring label. But I did management publicity in the early days before I got to the labels, or in transition between labels, and got into management with Stephen Curtis Chapman on his first 3 albums. Then I got into the label business side of things, leading up to be VP of marketing. My last 2 years at the labels when I was at Benson, and then in '99 started my management agency, and we've worked with a lot of indies right now. We still do marketing for labels and film companies and some book publishers, but we work on the management side primarily with indies, one of which is Andy Kirk, who'll be on a panel with you guys later today.
And Ray, this is awesome. I've known Ray for probably 25, 30 years.
We knew Rebecca when she was just a little girl.
Yeah, it's awesome.
I'm Ray Ware, and I have been in this for some time. 1981, I moved from being a booking agent to a manager when my best friend really asked me. Randy Stonehill was my best friend, grew up with him, and so I perhaps represent those people in your lives that are friends already, people that may be a possibility to step into that position of being a manager. Managers, from my perspective, are always trying to, we're really in love with you guys, you people that create something, but we oftentimes see that there's a gap between the creation and then somehow making a living from it, how to make that work in a better way. And so I sort of adopted this idea that a manager is another set of eyes, another set of thinking that comes alongside you as artists to fulfill that vision that you've been given, the calling that you've been given.
That's great. I know you guys have some questions. We're going to get to that. We have an opportunity for you to ask these guys some questions. But first, Rebecca and I are going to ask a few questions. We've been doing this for a while, and we want to put these guys through the ringer. I've probably been through a lot more managers than Rebecca has. It's harder to fire family.
My dad's my manager.
Her dad's her manager.
Yeah.
So I wanted to ask some questions. And panelists, please, if you will, we're trying to move things along. So keep your questions, keep your answers, your responses as who are we kidding? I want Ray to go a little further with what he was just saying. What would you say, you hit on it a little bit, but what do you think the most important job is that a manager has? Maybe name 5 things that a manager should do, the most important things a manager to do.
Wow, Warren. I think it's sort of summed up in this idea that you need to have a different perspective. You know, when you guys are writing songs, when you're creating something, and I think all of us are this way. We have certain blind spots. We have wives, people that love us, people that are close in our lives that help to reflect how we're doing. So I think that one of the key things, I think, is that for the manager is to be that honest person that is able to speak into your life and say, the hat doesn't work, or the bridge on that song is not as good as the verses. So the first thing I would say is that it's that sense of responsibility that we as managers have to you as an artist. The second thing is, of course, we represent you. So we need to know who you are, need to have some vision for you, but then we need to be able to translate that into, to try to build a team. Because primarily what we're attempting to do up here in your career is to build a team. None of us do this by ourselves. So there's publicists, there's producers, there's radio people, there's a large assortment of people, and all of them need to be encouraged, challenged, and hopefully that manager is looking at you and saying, what is the calling on this person's life so that I can draw this out of the team members so that we can fulfill the vision that we have. So there's a couple of things anyway, Warren.
Yeah.
Mike, in what situation should a artist find a manager themselves, and how do they go about doing that? And then when do you find an artist that you want to manage? How does that work?
Well, that's obviously in the new world that we're in right now, just people trying to take care of everything themselves. One of the issues for me with artists, and especially independent artists, is how long do you keep doing it all yourself? How long do you keep trying to make the decisions? And there comes a point in the world of just artist development, trying to take care of yourself, trying to manage your band, your artistry, that you wake up one morning and you go, man, I am spending so much more time on business and trying to get business done than I am taking care of what was really on my heart 2 years ago when I was trying to be an artist, what God really put on my heart when I wrote those songs. So there comes a place where you finally have to say, I am looking for somebody that's actually can come alongside me and help me take care of the business, because as I heard an artist last night say, that's their sweet spot. That's what they do. That's what their gifting is. What I tell artists all the time is I'll never do what you do. I'm not going to do what you do. But I do have a gifting, and my gifting is to be involved in that artist development piece, to come alongside you and hopefully be a great complement. And like Ray said, put a team together. The thing that I'm looking for always is just trying to find artists that I feel like I can speak into their lives. I mean, there's